This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts do not necessarily state or reflect those of the company and its management. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guests do not reflect those of the hosts, the show, the management, and the network.
Hello, Philippines, and hello, world. Hi to the province of Davao do Sur, down to BSN Math 3. We are here again, and you are watching The Gender Talk. And together with me is Jeline and Dalan.
Good afternoon, Len. You seem a lot more energetic today.
Yes, Jill, you can say that because I am very excited to interview our three guests for today here on our show.
Ooh, that's amazing to hear, Len. Anyways, today we will talk about various topics that are up to date and will never come to an end, fresh from the pot that we will be serving to you on the spot.
I agree with you, Jill. With the help of our guests, we will discuss everything about gender fair language. Some of you might have heard of it, but for the benefit of the doubt, let's take a look at this clip. Roll VCR.
Imagine you're traveling internationally, speaking to thousands of people from around the world. How are you going to make sure your diverse audience connects with your message? Let's try something. Hey guys! So, you're headed to university with plans to become an international businessman, traveling to Oriental countries, impacting disabled people, teaching young men skills to move in the right direction. Right from the beginning, I could have used more inclusive language by starting with a phrase other than, hey guys. Now, while guys is a common North American term, this is not so in every culture, and any group of girls or women may resent hearing this phrase. Instead, use more gender-neutral language like, hello everyone, or welcome guests. I discussed your wanting to become a businessman. Masculine language has been traditionally used, but it doesn't really work for today's workforce. Instead of businessman, tradesman, or mailman, try using terms like business person, tradesperson, or letter carrier. Instead of speaking to the young men in the audience, speak to the young people instead. Remember that some people do not identify as being male or female, so using more neutral language will be appreciated by everyone. You should also use culturally inclusive language. Generalizations like referring to the whole continent of Asia with the outdated term Oriental does not take into account distinct differences among countries within Asia. Instead, referring specifically to a country, Korea, Japan, or China, shows respect for these culturally distinct nations. Let's refer to people first when addressing an audience. Referring to disabled people puts the disability first. Instead, say people with disabilities. Another example, you would not say blind people, but people with visual impairments. A successful speech takes more than an effective presentation style. It relies on the audience's active listening and acceptance of presenters' ideas. By using gender-neutral and culturally inclusive language, and by focusing on people rather than labeling them, you ensure that your message will appeal to a broader audience.
That was an informative one, right? I hope you gained some overview about what kind of discussion we will be having today.
Yes, partner. I know that there are much more aware now of the gender fair language. But for now, let us take a short commercial to break the ice for a while.
Si Dad.
Oh, Kevin, bakit hindi mo pa ina-accept ang friend request ko?
Break barriers for new beginnings.
And we're back, and you're still watching the Gender Talks.
Before the commercial break, we have learned a glimpse about what is gender fair language. I'm pretty sure everyone who is watching right now is really gaining something, right?
You're right, Lenny. So far, so good. And I'm really glad that you all are still there watching the show with us. But before anything else, please don't forget to like and follow our social media accounts on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And let us know your insights about today's fresh topics by using the official hashtag of the show. Hashtag Gender Talks Fresh Topic.
Now let us proceed to our next segment. This is Gender Talk Plus. We will be discussing or asking important questions about our special guests for today, and for sure everything in this segment is worth watching. And perhaps you're wondering why they're here with us. Well, let's just say that they're the perfect guest for today's discussion, and luckily, they agreed to an interview with us.
Wow, that's really wonderful, Len. Again, welcome to the Gender Talks Plus. Let's not make everyone wait, so let's welcome Miss Ali and Mr. Patrick.
Thank you for having us here.
It was a pleasure for us to be here, and I am very excited.
Good afternoon to you too. Hi, Miss Ali. Can you tell us some insights about some of the violations when it comes to gender fair language?
So, hello, Len. So, first we have what we call sexist language. Well, it is a tool, that reinforces unequal gender relations through sexual stereotypes, microaggressions, and sexual harassment. Language can be used to abuse, such as in the case of sexual harassment, verbal abuse, or to perpetuate stereotypes.
Oh, I see. Therefore, we can really say that language really is a very powerful force that plays a significant role in how one perceives the world.
All right, thank you, Miss Ali. Now, Mr. Patrick, would you like to add something?
Yes, actually, we also have what we call the invisibilization of women. So the invisibilization of women is rooted in the assumption that men are dominant and are the norm of the fullness of humanity, and women do not exist. Some obvious examples of women's invisibilization in language are: first is the generic use of masculine pronouns or the use of masculine in general. Next is the assumption is that the certain function or jobs are performed by men instead of both genders. And lastly, the use of male job titles or terms ending in man to refer to function that may be given to both genders.
Oh, I think there are some examples of this, but I guess my partner will just tell this later on. Okay, so let's proceed. Actually, recently I have heard something like the trivialization of women. Are you also familiar with that kind of violation, and how is it a violation?
Yes, this violation happens when you are bringing attention to the gender of a person if that person is a woman. We also tend to see the perception here of a woman as immature, and when most people are trying to objectify or compare women as a mere objects.
Well, Miss Ali, are there still other violations in gender fair language aside from what Mr. Patrick just said?
Yes, definitely, we still have more of these violations. Another one is the fostering unequal gender relations. So it is a language that lacks parallelism, foster unequal gender relations. The use of man and wife assumes that our men are still and women's identifies are subsumed and shifted into being in relation to their husbands.
So in addition, we also have what we call gender polarization of words in use of adjectives. So in this violation, it uses parallel adjectives that show the difference in perception regarding men and women. So this polarization adjective shows how perception does not change how one sees certain acts depending on who performs them.
Wow, this information about violations of gender fair language was an eye-opener for me, and I guess for the viewers also. I'd also like to add one of the violations that I accidentally saw online, and it was called the hidden assumptions. So it said that these hidden assumptions in sentences can be a form of microaggressions if the underlying perceptions are sexist and degrading.
Speaking of sexist, I would like to show you these sexist terms that we should avoid to promote a gender fair language. So first is, instead of saying anchor, we should say anchor person. Instead of saying this, congressman, representative. Instead of fireman, let's say firefighter. And instead of policeman, let's say police officer. And lastly, instead of statesman, let's call it diplomat or political leader.
So wow, thank you, partner. Now I would really try my best to become gender fair with everyone and start using these alternatives instead. So thank you, Miss Ali and Mr. Patrick, for being with us today and for sharing with us the different kinds of violations with regards to gender fair language.
I think my brain cells are really blown right now. Another informative segment has been done.
You're right, partner. I could see that everyone who is watching right now is also learning.
So now, shall we proceed to the next segment?
Yes, of course. Time is running. Let us see the last but not the least segment when Gender Talks returns.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, and their tears are filling up their glasses. No expression, no expression. Mad world, mad world.
And we're back, and you're still watching the Gender Talks.
Are you guys still up? But before that, don't forget to use our official hashtag for today, hashtag #GenderTalksFreshTopics. For this segment, we are going to talk about a pressing issue that has become a large problem in society. I think my co-host is up to something. She has actually invited another special guest for today. This guest is today's well-known Depressed.
Yeah, so it was really tough to invite her on our show since she has been a victim of gender stereotype, prejudice, and discrimination, partner.
Wow, so that's a really an issue. So anyways, hello Depressed, welcome to our show, and I would like to ask if how are you, by the way?
Hi. So I've been wanting to be here on the show to spread awareness to everyone regarding the issue prevalent in our society. Anyways, I am currently doing great, and it's really nice to be here and to share my life with everyone who is watching with us right now.
That's really good to hear, Depressed. To start, I would like you to share a little bit about your childhood. Was it fun just like any other kid?
Growing up in a family where all of my siblings are all boys, and if you're the only girl, is quite a pressure. Actually, it was nice since all of my brothers are so caring about me as the youngest. But deep inside, I was actually insecure and troubled, and it felt like I wasn't free of my life choices. Way before my parents had me, they really wished for a baby girl that they could treat as a princess. My mom really wants someone who would learn ballet, and she's really excited to dress me up like a doll. At first, when I wasn't old enough, I was called the pink girl class. From my headdress down to my shoes, everything was pink. At home, they trained me to do household chores and be equipped with things that girls should do. They expected me to be well-mannered, modest, and reserved. But, however, everything felt weird and unfulfilling as the years passed.
Wow, I think I do really have the same experience with you because, of course, as a girl, I should be expected to like the color pink and do like the girly stuff. So anyway, so this is where you've really felt that what you have been doing isn't really you, right? Or isn't what you've always wanted to do?
Yes, and I realized that in high school, of course, growing up with my brothers was fun. I really had fun, and because of that, I appreciated the things that I do together with them. However, my mom keeps on cutting the strings of my happiness. She always tells me that I can play with my girl cousins, with some kitchen stuff, and dolls inside. She always had that line that keeps on bugging me that says, "You're a girl, so you should do this and do that, and act like one." You know, the typical stereotyping.
I think most of us or all of us have experienced stereotyping or we've been displaying it towards others and sometimes we're not even aware of it. I can attest that we feel pressured to act or look a certain way based on our gender.
Yes, actually, you're really right, partner. Even in the past years, this is most prominent, and I think it was way too much worse before. Women before actually wasn't given the right to go to school or to run for any political position since they were only expected to help in the house and become the pretty, capable wife for, their husbands.
Yes, thank God I am living in this era where I can have more freedom to express myself in ways that I feel true regardless of my gender. I had a long journey of finding who I really am and what I really like. I had a hard time expressing it to people, being afraid of what they might say.
That's really good to hear, Rez. We really appreciate you sharing about your story, your experiences about stereotyping here in our show. And guys, that was just the first part of our interview. And we are going to discuss and unfold more stories about prejudice and stereotyping, discrimination when we get back. Stay tuned and please don't leave us here in the show. This is The Gender Talks.
Kababae mong tao, ang lakas ng boses mo. Kababae mong tao, ang brusko mo. Kababae mong tao, ganyan ka umupo? Kababae mong tao, palaban ka. Kababae mong tao, ginagabi ka ng uwi. pagkababae mong tao. Kaya kahit ano, kaya mo.
And now we're back with Gender Talks.
A while ago, we have talked about the stereotyping that have happened in the life of depressed, which allowed us to be aware of how stereotyping is seen and displayed in everyday lives, and how it affects the people involved in stereotyping.
Yes, so to further discuss our topic for today, I would like to ask you, Miss Depressed, how has life been at work lately? Do you experience any issues within, your coworkers, the company?
When I first applied for the current job, the application was somehow smooth, since I believe that I am capable of doing that kind of work, since that was what I was studying for when I was in college.
Yes, and I've read in your profile, Depressed, that you were a consistent honor and you've graduated with flying honors, and I can really say that you deserved it.
Yes, I do believe Miss Gianni, but not when it was the time for promotion. That's when I felt prejudice among my coworkers and even my boss. Basically, I think I performed well in my job, just like how everybody else did. However, despite those efforts, my male coworker, who was my junior, was promoted instead.
Oh, what a sad scenario or story of yours. Why is it so? When you've done everything with your capabilities?
Maybe I think because she's a woman, the boss might have thought that she won't be able to handle the work, the pressure well, because eventually, sooner or later, Miss Depressed might get married, have a family, and get busier with her kids than the workplace. So, my thoughts on that.
That's the point. They were too shallow and didn't even bother checking my credentials as to how capable I am of the job despite my sex, and displayed such a negative attitude towards me in the workplace.
That's a really sad reality. I hope that as people are viewing our show, they would realize how other people experience stereotyping and, prejudice just because of their gender. And I think that really is so unfair.
Some are still blinded into what this means, what gender stereotyping really means. And I encourage all of you, our dear listeners, to please reflect on where you stand in this gender stereotyping. Are you already hurting others, or are you the one being hurt? Are you being biased towards others because of their gender? Guys, we really have to be mindful of this just of ourselves, but all that surrounds us. That is why we have this segment in our show for us to show you, to encourage you to be better individuals and to be aware of the current issues that is happening regarding our gender. That is why we call this show the Gender Talks.
Actually, that is the main goal of this segment, for everyone to be open about this kind of topic. And because of that, Miss Depressed, we are really honored to have you here on our show, and we really are thankful for sharing us your experiences. Your story, I believe, is also the story of others. So thank you again.
Yes, it was such an honor too. Thank you, Miss Lenny and Miss Jialin.
Times have changed now. We have been more free to express how we feel. We want to express ourselves. So, and that is really a good thing in our generation. All right, stay tuned and we'll get back to you after this short video.
Mga salitang paulit-ulit na naririnig. Mga matang nakatingin na may ibang ipinapahiwatig.
Saya kayo sa ginagawa niyo.
Di nila alam kung gaano kahirap pagpilitan ang sariling nahihirapan sa anyong alam mo namang wala kang kalulugaran.
Kailan niyo ako matatanggap?
Mga matang may kasamang pandidiri, mga bibig na hindi makanda o gaga sa panglalait.
Basihan na ba ang kasuotan sa kasarian?
Laging kong pinipilit na huwag pakinggan at sarili lamang ang dapat pakinggan kahit ako'y inyong pinagtatawanan. Kung pwede lang magbago ang paningin, kung pwede lang tanggapin at mahalin, sana magbago ang inyong perspektibo. Sana nag-isip bago iba to, mapanghusgang mundo at mapangmatang mga tao. Anong klaseng lipunan ito?
Things just got started, but sadly, we don't have much time to do more.
You're right, partner. I think this episode has really set something high up. It really keeps every single viewer taking home some knowledge today. With that, thank you for staying and watching Gender Talk.
See you next week.
Bye!